All right, so good afternoon, ladies. Today we'll be continuing with phase two of our sectional drawing, which is our roof. All right, from last class, we attempted to do the wall thicknesses and floor levels, which is done on this drawing over here. Today, what we'll be focusing on is the roof section of our floor plan. Now, if you realize I've just copied and pasted the same drawing over here, the only thing that I did was I made a roof for this particular floor plan, which is a half hip roof, which is over on the left side, and a concrete or flat roof on the right section. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is just put on the layers so you can actually see the floor plan beneath the roof plan. As you can see, is outlined in red. Okay, so the white areas is the roof, the red areas, or the red areas are the floor plan. Okay, now if you were to just, now the thing is, when you're about to do the roof, you have to ensure that your building lines up with the sectional elevation. So ensure that the width is correct on both sides. Okay, once the width of the building itself is correct, we should be able to do the rest. Now, be mindful that the two white lines here represent the parapet or the wall trimming around the edge of the concrete roof. If you've been upstairs, the staff room at school, you'll realize that it's a flat roof and it has the wall projecting upwards to a certain height. That's basically what we'll be drawing here today on this particular roof plan. Okay? Well, at least a section of it. And the other section is basically a hip roof or part of a hip roof, which shows basically uh, well, an irregular um, quadrilateral, which I'm going to show you at the end. So again, just take note, the floor plan must line up with the elevation. And when you place the roof on top, it should look like this. Okay? I'm going to turn off my layers for my floor plan so it'll be easier for you to understand what we're about to do. And so we shall continue. All right. So last class, the last thing we did was establish the building height and left the erected sections of the wall to the top. Okay. Now, seeing that we're doing a flat roof on the right side and half of a hip roof over on our left, what's going to have to happen is that some of these walls will have to be removed, but not as yet. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is extend the building height outwards on both sides. Well, it's not necessarily for both sides. I'll do just for one side because this side is the side with the hip roof. This side here we're going to leave as is because there isn't an eave, so we don't have to worry about any offset distance from the building wall. So what we're going to do is establish a slope and a height for our hip roof. Okay. Now, you can establish your slope, I guess, based on your elevation. So if, let's say, you use a slope of 20 degrees, 30 degrees, let's say probably 35 or 15 or 10, just make sure that whatever slope that you use for your elevation is the same slope you have to use for your sectional as well. All right? Again, whatever slope you use for your elevation is the slope that you use for your sectional as well. Okay. Now, for me, for this particular drawing, what I'm going to do is to establish a height for the wall, the parapet wall, or the trimming around the concrete roof, because I'm going to consider this top roof area as a kind of patio area for the persons who are living in this building to actually go upstairs and, well, it's an upstairs building, but basically it's a staircase to go upstairs, all right? So I'm going to imagine that this upstairs section here is like an open patio area. It's going to have a wall railing height of 3 feet or 900 millimeters. So what I'm going to do first is to establish a thickness for the ceiling, okay, or the area in which the persons will be able to walk at the top of the roof. So I'm going to offset. I'm going to put it at 150. Matter of fact, I'm going to put it at 100 instead. 100, offset upwards, okay? And then I'm going to trim, sorry. And then I'm going to trim these lines here. All right? So this portion here is the flat roof over this section of our building here. All right? Now, seeing that this entire top area is flat and there isn't a room with walls on top, I'm going to then trim this line here so that you would represent the lines for inside of the floor plan. So let me just put it on so you can see. So floor plan walls, remember we have a shower, not shower, bath area in this little section here. So we want to represent it in this bottom section there. So what I'm going to do is just trim these lines so it looks like this. Okay. You may or may not be confused as yet, but don't worry. We're going to get there slowly. Now, so again, just to recap, ground level, floor level, inside of the building below. Remember, we have a staircase on this side going up to the patio area, which is up here. All right. And then what we're going to do is create an offset of, we're going to offset upwards 900 or 3 feet, then extend the line so we can have our railing. So offset 900, enter this line, go up. I'm going to just extend it on both sides by dragging it. All right, I'm going to trim it and trim these two lines here as well. Okay, so this is what the concrete parapet roof looks like. All right, now back to this section over here. What you'll have to do is to trim this line here. Trim, okay? And then I'm going to remove this second line which we drew and we're going to keep that first line. All right? Ladies, give me a moment, please. Hold on, please. All right. So from here, ladies, can you hear me?
Yes, miss.
All right then. So this here is basically our concrete roof or flat roof. All I like it to do is just extend this line here on both sides. And we're gonna leave all the other lines as is. Okay. Any questions on this section, ladies, before we move on? Speak now, forever hold your peace. Silence is consent in my case.
Miss,
Mm-hmm.
how are you knowing the distance you're putting the concrete roof and the other half? Miss, how are you knowing?
What do you mean, the height of this wall here, or are you talking about the thickness of the concrete roof?
Miss, I'm talking about miss, the thickness. How are you knowing?
Okay. Well, usually floorings range from a thickness of 4 inches to 6 inches. Okay, in a standard drawing, residential drawing like this. Okay, so you can put it at 4 inches or 6 inches, which is 100 or 150 millimeters. In this case, I chose to use 100 because not much, based on the size of the building, I wouldn't assume that much people will be on top of that roof. Hence the reason why I did so. So let's put it at 100. But in some cases, you may get 150. Okay?
Yes, miss.
All right. It's not something you have to really worry yourself about at this stage if you're doing, let's say, engineering. Well, not, well, yeah. Engineering drawings, then you have to consider the force factors and how much weight the building could hold. And well, after drama, which I don't want to hurt your head about right now. But again, the thickness will range from 100 to 150. It could be 200 sometimes, but again, it depends on the specification. In an exam, most likely they're going to give you the thickness, so you don't have to worry about the thickness. And if they don't give you the thickness, just consider either 100 or 150. All right?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Anything else, ladies? All right, then. So we're going to move on to the second section of the roof, which is the hip roof. All right, or the half hip roof in this case. Now, what we have to realize is that the cutting line actually tells you what shape the roof on the sectional would have. Similar that the roof shape will tell you what shape a particular side of a building would have as well. All right. Now I've shown you this in Form 4. I'm not going to go through it right now, but I'm going to try to recap it right now, seeing that we're doing a sectional drawing. Now, for the concrete roof, because there aren't any creases, there aren't any valleys, there aren't any hips, it's just flat. Doesn't matter where you cut the roof, whether it's down here, or up here, the shape will remain the same. That's why I didn't really place no much detail when I said to bring up the lines and whatnot. But over here, on the concrete roof, not on the hip roof, my bad, you're gonna realize that the cutting line passes through a particular section of your roof. Okay? Now remember that depending on which side you're doing, again, we're doing this portion of the building. It means that we're focusing on this side or this shape, as well as not too much this shape, but just we're focusing on just this particular shape that leads towards this side of the building. So the shape that you see here, let me outline it in a color so you'll see it properly. So the shape that you see here, which isn't really accurate in my opinion right now, that is the shape your roof above here would look. It wouldn't look exactly like it in terms of angle, but the shape, the regular outline is going to be similar. All right? So this is what you do when you reach to the roof section and you have to draw it. Any roof it applies for. Okay? First of all, you have to find out where the edge of the roof is, or where the edge of the eave is, and where the line cuts a hip rafter in this case. Some of you, your cutting line may or may not pass through your ridge, but if it does pass through your ridge, it means you have to do the same thing as what I'm about to show you. If it doesn't pass through the ridge and it passes through a hip, this is the same thing you still have to do. All right? Now, for the roof, I'm gonna draw these lines in the magenta. All right, so select a line. I'm going to draw the edge of the roof going upwards. Okay, and then I'm also gonna draw a line from where the cotton line passes through the hip rafter. Now, there's debate whether which side you should do. In my case, I'm gonna just advise you to, it doesn't matter which side you take, to be honest, okay? So just select this edge, doesn't matter which edge right now, and you're gonna bring it upwards like this, okay? From this point, what you're gonna do is consider the slope of your elevations. All right. So again, some of you may have used 15, 20, 30 degrees. This is where you consider the slope of your elevation into your sectional elevation as well. So in my case, I'm gonna like my slope to be at 10 degrees. All right. So from the edge of my eave, I'm gonna draw a line at 10 degrees, like so. Now, I think I could probably make it a 20. I think I want to make it a 20 instead. I find 10 is also a bit low, so I'm going to put that 20 instead. All right, and there I have my first slope. Now, if you look at this diagram here, from this point here to this point here, you see we have a diagonal line. We're basically mimicking the exact shape that we see here at the bottom, at the top. You see, we mirror the same shape. The angle is different, but the type of line that is used is the same. Okay? And from this point here to the building, what type of line do you think we have to use? Somebody, tell me the answer. Ladies,
Miss?
we just drew this line here to represent the hip. What from this point here to the edge of the wall over here, what type of line do you think we have to represent up here on the sectional? Is it a vertical line, a diagonal line, a horizontal line? What type of line? Somebody answer, please.
Horizontal?
Thank you very much. So, just like from this point here, we have a horizontal line going across to connect to this portion of the building. All right? That's just how we're going to take a horizontal line from here to connect to this portion of the building. And there we have our basic shape for our roof. Okay? Once we've done that, let's just trim the excess lines, which is this here, and these two lines here, and this little line in the corner there. We're going to trim those lines, okay? Now, before I remove these lines below here, what we're going to do next is add the height of our rafter. Now, remember on a floor plan, on a roof plan, sorry, we have the thickness of our rafters. Sorry for not cleaning more edges how it should be, all right? So we have the thickness of our rafter. But remember, a rafter is a 3D object, all right? So this is the thickness. The height you would see on the elevation. The length is what you see here. Again, the thickness is this here. We know that's 50 millimeters. The the length, oh, it's not a length, the height we're going to see on the elevation, all right? And the length in this case, we're going to see here from one point to the next. Again, if you've noticed within your floor plans, not floor plans, sorry, your roof plans, you'd realize that they say things like common rafter 50 by 150 millimeters, or they say 50 by 100 millimeters, but they don't include the length of your rafters because the lengths would vary based on where the rafters are. As you can see, we all these here are rafters as we know, but this rafter here is shorter compared to this rafter here. But in terms of the cut section of the rafter itself, all of them are the same because they all come at a standard size, which is 50 by 150. Okay? I wish I had an example to show you all here, but as a matter of fact, I think I have something I could show you. So I'm going to put on my camera. All right? So as you can see here, let's just imagine that this here is a rafter. It's a 3D object. Okay? We have our length, which would vary. Okay? Then we have the cut section. Just imagine that this here was basically stuck together. So we have the cut section. All right? When they cut the rafter, we have the thickness at the top, which is 50, and then we have the height, which is 100 or 150 according to the specification. All right. So again, it all depends on the specification. You would know the cut section size of your rafter, but again, the lengths would vary because of where the rafters are placed on the roof. Okay. So let me take this off. Okay. So with that being cleared, what we have to do is establish the height of our rafter as I just mentioned. So we're going to offset. I'm going to put my rafter height at 100. Again, your rafter height may be different according to what you have as your specification. So some persons may have 100, some persons may have 150. Nobody's wrong, but just be mindful that when I'm checking your elevation, your rafters should show that whether it's 100 or 150. Okay, now as you can see here, we have a little problem where the lines don't meet up again. You will not be penalized for it because you don't worry about too much detail accuracy in this case. Until they reach in college, and you will worry about that. But for CXC, I won't penalize you all for that. All right. So I'm going to extend that line there to there. And then this here is our rafter. Well, this here is our hip rafter, which is what we see here. We see the thickness from the overview, but we see the height on the elevation. Okay. What we're going to do next is trim the excess lines, and we're going to trim this particular line here. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to move across to this here, which is our fascia board. Can anyone tell me what is the dimension of the fascia board? Anybody? Give me a dimension for the fascia board. From fives. I have 6 ollie in here. And one ollie better tell me ollie dimension for the fascia board before we move on. Oh, it's 2 dimensions, remember. So Ariel said 300. Okay, 300 in height. What thickness we using? Let me hear. Somebody. Let me stop.
25.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to use a dimension of 25 by 300. Again, some persons may have 25 by 200. Some may have 25 by 250. It all varies according to the height of your fascia board, but generally the thicknesses are the same. Okay, it's usually 1 inch or 25 millimeters. So from here, what we're going to do is what we're going to do is offset 25 from this point here to here. Okay, then we're going to draw a little line to connect this little point here to here. All right, then we're going to offset 300 from this point here to down here. And with that, we remove our excess lines and we have our little fascia board in the corner there. All right. Any questions so far, ladies? Again, if there's anything I probably went too fast with when I post the video, all you have to do is just slow it down and just try to understand what I have there. Okay? Give me a moment, please. All right. Okay. So with that being said, we're moving on to the last section. Before we do move on to the last section, there's one more thing. We have to extend this wall upwards. So yes, we know our building height is at here, but the roof must touch the wall. Wait. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah. So my bad. So the roof, the wall must, the wall thickness must touch the rafter in this case. Okay. Now, this is something that you should consider as well is whether you'll be able to see the wall or see a rafter. Okay. Now, the line passes through a wall, so it means that you should be able to see the wall go up to the roof. Okay? So, what I'm gonna advise you to do, if the wall goes up to the roof, then, or if the line passes through a wall, the wall thickness goes up to the roof. Again, I know I'm passing the lines, but we can always trim it afterwards. And if the line passes through a rafter, it means that the wall stays below the rafter. Okay? So I'm going to trim off these two little lines here. I'm going to remove this little yellow line here, and I'm going to remove this line here as well. So right now we have our building height, the roof outline established for the sectional. Then we're going to cut this little line here to indicate that that's the wall thickness. All right, go on again, please. So with that being said, we're moving on to the last bit of our drawing, which is drawing in the rafters. Okay. Now remember that I said you seen that this section of our roof takes this shape means that whatever we see within this section here is what should be shown on the inside portion of here as well. So imagine that you're inside of a house right now, just in case you're in a house right now and you're looking up at your roof. I'm hoping that you can see rafters running alongside your roof in whatever direction or slope the roof is. Okay? So, as we see that these rafters here, the water will go within this direction because this here, where the ridge is the highest peak, and then the water flows down outwards towards the back. Same thing has to be applied here. We need to show that the rafters start at the top here and runs down towards the back of the building, which we cannot see because of the building or the wall height in this case. All right. So all we have to do here is extend the lines, or you can copy it if you wish. So I'm going to extend these lines. Hold on. I know this is double work, but still, you can just copy the lines if you wish. Okay. And then what you're going to do is trim the excess. So I'm going to trim these lines. Remember, the rafters only stay within the roof section. It doesn't exist within this portion here, only the roof. So I'm going to just remove these here. All right. And just remove the excess lines below so it wouldn't confuse you. What is this line doing here? Uh, all right. Just trim this little line here. Okay. And that is how we place our rafters within our roof section, basically by bringing it up. I know we erase it down here, but don't worry about that. Okay. Once it fits in here, that's fine. That's the final thing. I'm gonna just change the color to give a better understanding. Change the layer to the sectional draft so you'll know which parts of the roof. And from there, I'm gonna just draw a line from the fascia board that touches inside of the building. Not inside, the outer skirt of the building, sorry. And this is what your or what a section of your roof should look like if you're trying to replicate a sectional drawing on your elevation. Okay? Any questions so far, ladies? Any questions, ladies? All right then. So I'm guessing we're doing pretty good in this portion of our drawing, seeing that we have no questions. So I should be seeing some real nice sectional drawings when I have to pick it up, whenever the deadline may be. But I'm hoping that when you review the video in the future, you'll be able to understand it better. All right. And even if and even when you look at the video, I'm hoping that if you were to get it for CXC, if they decide to bring it in an exam, you can replicate a proper sectional drawing. Okay. So I think that's it for today. Seeing that there aren't any questions, we're not gonna. Well, there's only one other thing I want to speak about. Matter of fact, I want to show you that as well. So, just in case for those of you who are doing gable roofs, okay, I know this here was a portion of. Oh no, I know this here was a portion of the hip roof. Sorry. So we have less than 5 minutes left. Let's see if I could just make a quick drawing so you'll understand. So let me just make a copy selection, bring it on the other side. Let's just imagine that we were to remove all these here. We were to just do a regular gable roof. Alright, so copy selection, this point here. Mm, extend. I think it's extended. Alright, so let me just select these rafters here quickly and just mirror it on the other side. Alright, so in a case where you have a gable roof, if you're viewing this portion here, it's going to be a triangle. All right. So if you do elevation from this section here, it's going to take the shape of a triangle. So you have to extend the lines on both sides. This here being your height, depending on what your slope is, you're going to connect it to the height, and that's it. For this portion here, it's going to basically be a rectangle. So if I was to just remove this, I'm going to remove this here. We're going to keep the rafter. All right. And what I'm going to do is just draw a line from this portion here upwards. Make sure it lines up properly, which I think it does. Yes, it does. And then I'm going to extend this here towards the outer portion here. It should be like this. I'm going to extend this line to meet the outskirt of the roof, which is here. And then I'm going to basically move this upwards as well. And just move this to the top as well. So this is what a gable roof would look like if you were to cut through it from this section. All right. So I'm gonna trim this portion here. I'm gonna, can you? Yes, I can. I'm gonna trim that there. I'm gonna remove this line here. So this is what the sectional should look like if you were to do a cable roof. Now the only differences are same in this case. You have to extend the wall towards the upper side or the height of the roof because the walls are keeping up the roof. Remember that, okay? And the same thing applies where you have to copy the rafters. So copy selection, place right here, bring it upwards, uh, place right there. I know it doesn't line up nicely right now, but I promise you, I'm gonna try to fix it. All right, and then remove all the excess lines, which obviously I'm not gonna do right now because I have less than a minute left. So this is what a gable roof would look like from this portion. Just remember the gable has two shapes, which is the rectangular shape, which is on this side, and the triangular shape, which is on the other side. So I'm hoping that that works out for y'all, ladies. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm sorry I have to be rushing it like this, but that's it. All right. Any questions? Feel free to WhatsApp me. And if we do have to make a extra video, I'll try to do so once time permits. Okay. Bye.
Bye, Miss.